My name is Rose Twine, team leader, EcoStove. EcoStove is a brand of Eco Group Limited, a company that manufactures, distributes, and installs EcoStoves. These are stoves that are solar and stone volcanic rocks powered, meaning you're using volcanic rocks to cook in the drive to save on the tree cutting and over dependence on the remaining natural resources and forest cover.
So my name is Sylvie Namwase. I'm a lecturer at Makerere University, and currently we're doing a research under the Department of the Human Rights and Peace Center, which is a research department and teaching department at the School of Law.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Geoffrey Obo, and I'm a researcher under the same project at the School of Law.
My name is Haruna Kanavi. I'm a researcher at the Human Rights and Peace Center, Department of School of Law, Makerere University.
And how long have you been in with the EcoStove?
I founded EcoStove in
Okay.
2011.
Okay.
So EcoStove has become a brand. This is why you see everywhere we're branding it as EcoStove, because group doesn't make sense. It's an umbrella of different companies. So in this discussion, we're going to focus on the EcoStove
Okay.
and everything that comes in the aspect of cooking. So I invented the stove in 2011. We registered the company in 2012. And so the journey has its own ups and downs. But yeah, it was a very deliberate decision to come up with the technology. One, because I'm a girl child. I grew up using firewood and charcoal to cook in my village. And so it's something I experienced firsthand. The issues related to using biomass in general, be it charcoal, be it firewood. So it's something that has been very close to the heart, and especially being a girl child. This is not something someone educates you from school. You've done it even before you went to school. So yeah, it's something that was very close to my heart. And I needed to be very intentional on coming up with a technology that was supposed to solve the issues that I grew up experiencing, as opposed to being in any other industry.
And so, is this something you had to go to school for in terms of university education, or did you study something else and then this was like a passion project, or a combination of
Both.
all?
I studied many other disciplines, but I ended up into renewable energy engineering, and that is how this EcoStove was born.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a space that was very specific because it's something that was very close to my heart. So yes, it was a passion, but I only needed to put the academic on top of it to be able to understand what do I need to do, what partners do I need to bring on board. You must be knowledgeable to understand where the gaps are. I mean, this is a very big innovation or huge innovation that it has other players involved. So you must be able to know where your limitations are and where do you bring in other players to be able to support you to make it as successful as it has been in reducing on tree cutting or over dependence on trees for the purpose of cooking. Yeah.
And so 2011 to today, that is over.
This is 14 years,
14
going
years.
15
This is
years.
14 years. And what have been the main challenges along the journey? Or do you prefer to start with the success?
No, I'm okay to start with any. Yeah, the challenge is, tell me, have you ever used a stove that uses volcanic rocks? And what do you think about it? I'm asking you now.
Unfortunately, today was my first time to see it.
Exactly.
Even
So
just seeing it, yeah.
one of the biggest challenges was sensitizing the public
Okay.
and convincing you, a Ugandan who was born using firewood or charcoal as the main or probably the only kitchen fuel that you know, to say the stone can cook. So it is very expensive because it involves demonstration. I have to show you physically. We must light the stove. 90% of probably our investment goes into awareness, of creating awareness and sensitizing people firsthand where a person wants to touch that stone as red hot as it is, to accept and believe you. And you have to cook a meal there. You have to boil water for them to see. So it is a challenge because our tradition has been that we know you can either use charcoal or firewood. The other alternatives are not what we're accustomed to. So that is one of the issues, getting people to convert, to accept and embrace and convert. We've had some successes on that. Through the ones who are converted, they recommend others, because we all know we have all faced the high cost of cooking. So once one believes and the other person is moaning about the cost of charcoal, someone says, have you tried the cost of these volcanic rocks? So we've converted a few marketeers of very happy clients who are recommending others and say, you try this. Now, through using already, your neighbor will convince you much better than I can convince you, because I am selling. Yet if your neighbor tells you and you're able to see it, you believe them because it's right there and they have no benefit in convincing you but to save you. And so that has been both a problem, but also we've come out with a very successful story to say that the feedback and the recommendation has come from our very happy customers. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned about partners. What partners have you found yourself having to bring on board along the way, and why?
This innovation started in the UK. It's a fireplace concept. So we've had very many engineers that came down to test the rocks, who have helped us in the R&D of our product. But also we've got other financial partners. We have partnered with NGOs such as UNCDF, CEDA, and many other SNV. We have very many supporters that have seen what we're trying to do and come in on the angle of how do you scale this, how do you sensitize the people, how can we help? And so that is how we've got the partners on board. But also we've had partners from financial institutions such as banks who are extending credit to our clients because of the upfront cost that people are used to spending 2,000, a bucket of 2,000 of charcoal to spend, and yet they want this product and it's not 2,000 shillings. So for that reason, you're bringing in circles on board, financial institutions who will bridge that gap. And so we are able to, call them partners in that aspect.
And what about the government as a partner? Or
Yeah.
what has been the government's role?
The government has played a very good role through the Ministry of Finance. We had a deliberate meeting on showcasing how this technology will reduce on tree cutting, and through the Ministry of Finance, this product or the energy saving product and inputs were put in the Gazette. And so for that reason, the inputs have been, I would say, we don't pay for import duty because of that. So I would say that the government has played their part, because when you find that most of the technological inputs, such the parts that we use to make the technology what it is, and many other that manufacture energy-saving products, we have a benefit in that aspect, that import duty has been removed to 0%. So that is that's the government support that we have received. And at the moment, under Ministry of Energy and through the association, of course, there are other drives, like through the association of UNAC, which we're members, we have drives, and the government kind of handholds such drives and supports us to create awareness in far-to-reach areas or areas which are not getting as free information as we get them in the urban areas. Yeah.
And what's your vision? Because we've had the opportunity to look at some of the products, and we see that they are good. In my opinion, they are good products,
Okay.
but they are high end.
Okay.
I think when I think about some of the people I know in the villages, in the rural areas, some neighbors, because of course in Uganda, we have many types of families. We
Yeah.
have those who have their parents in the villages, but they're working in the urban, so they
Yeah.
can maybe buy that system for their parents. But then there are those whose families have never had that urban experience, and income levels within the family cannot afford
Afford.
them that system. Do you have a vision of that kind of family using your product, and what would it entail?
Okay. I just said we have partners on board. Our cheapest or the starting product is, by the way, we just don't do only eco stoves. We do quick pots, which are electric pressure cookers. Again, that is a bit limiting, but we have a 4-liter which uses solar. It's a 350, so I'm going to use that as our baseline, meaning that it's a 350. You have this product for another 5 years. And if you have something like that, so how much charcoal would you have gone through in 2 to 5 years? So when somebody says it's expensive, I want to understand the calculator you used. How much, let me ask you, how much, Sylvie, how much charcoal do you use? Do you use charcoal?
I use charcoal, but I use a combination of charcoal and gas.
Gas, okay, let's just...
But it goes a lot. It
Okay,
goes very
for a
fast.
village person that you may know, a relative, how much firewood or charcoal do they buy it, or is free?
They buy charcoal. They pick firewood.
Okay, firewood is free.
Yeah, they pick the twigs.
Whatever they buy, how much a day?
But they buy small.
How much? There's a price.
500 shillings.
No.
1,000.
That's on a high end, yes.
These were small
So
bovera. the
because
black
she's
ones.
addressing it to the people in the rural area, and I want to say that a person in the rural area may not see the benefit because they are not spending to cook. They go to their bush clearing before they plant. They're able to get to those posts, whatever they've cut down. So economics will not work with them, yet they need it. So but just to answer whether it's a Kampala people or a peri-urban or the rural person, you find that any person spending up to 2,000 to 3,000 a day to cook, they can surely afford a pressure cooker of 350 or a stove of 2-year usable rocks at 450. I need us to start where we can afford. I'm sure everybody... because when you look at this catalog, this is our brochure, and it shows you various product sizes. So when somebody says it's expensive, I want to work out which product did you choose. Because everybody, it's not one fits all. Everybody must have something that fits their budget.
Yeah.
So I can safely say we have a product which can cook any meal, which is a volcanic rock stove of a single burner at 450. Divide 450 for the next 24 months and tell me how expensive that would be. So it is the upfront payment. To me, maybe the valid question would be, how will the low-income person be able to afford the upfront pay, and what measures have you put in place to be able to mitigate that? In this case, I would say we have partnerships with women's circles or groups, saving groups and circles and microfinances. All they have to do is organize themselves and be able to approach. Once they tell us, I don't know which village you come from, but once we know who's where and what they want, we have partnership with Postbank, we have partnership with Centenary, which are rural banks. We have microfinance institutions that we work with. So depending where this person is, we can even go and set up, even if this microfinance in their local area is not yet on our database, then we will be able to negotiate, because they take that as a product and they're happy to extend it as a product. And what they do, they're able to extend the 350 or the 450 to us, and then the person will pay them slowly to what they can afford. So I don't think it's a cost thing. I think it's a gap, it's a knowledge gap. Do we have an option out there? Yeah.
But how available are these partners? Because I asked about a vision. Are these partners available in Karamoja?
Yeah.
In those deepest parts in Karamoja?
Yes, because every company, I would say, every SACCO, every bank you see in Kampala, they tend to have branches up country, even if it's not deep in the village, in the trading center nearby. Because again, I need to mention that we work with rural banks. Sentina is a rural bank. I'm sure there's Sentina in Karamoja. I'm sure there's a Post Bank in Karamoja. So these are banks that have products on energy, and these are we've already signed MOUs. So all we need to know is how many people and how do they bank. If they bank at all, you may find they're already banking with those banks, but they didn't know that this is a product that is available for them. Yeah.
So the commercialization or the nature of the economy and the level of penetration of these commercial institutions would help
Yeah.
the vision
It would.
to spread this out.
It would, because you see, if you're bridging the financial gap and calculating it, maybe Geoffrey will get 450 and divide by 12 months and divide by 30 days. Then you will work out and say it's cheaper to use an eco stove with volcanic rocks as opposed to using the 1,000 shilling tin of charcoal, because it has other negative implications other than the cost. Because I find that a lot of people focus on cost, which is okay, because maybe that's what's bothering them. But do we talk about the health aspect? Do we talk about the environmental aspect, the negative impact? Because you see, if everybody focuses, is it affordable? At the moment, we have a solution for you to make sure it's affordable. But going forward, how is it affecting your farming, the future agriculture trends that Uganda's backbone is agriculture? How is it being affected because of the tree cutting and the climate issues? Then also, how are we handling the indoor air pollution caused by that free firewood and that the charcoal that we use on a daily? And how much bills do you pay once you're ill from those negative issues that are created? So these are also some areas that people need to look at, not necessarily just the cost of the product, but what other benefits do you get? If you look on this, I talk about why EcoStove. We talk about the environmental benefit, the social benefit, the health benefit, the economic benefit. And these are the benefits. These are the 5 pillars that as a company we aim to drive with, to make sure that people just don't look at one benefit. If I solve the issue of upfront payment, if it's not good enough for you, how about you look at other things that I have no hand in? Yeah.
So, Rose, you said this is the conversation. I'll let you in on a few things that we are finding
Tell me.
so far on consumption. We found the view among some that you see the levels of poverty or the kind of life that some Ugandans are living pushes them to only change their way of doing things if there is a monetary issue. Benefit. Now, these other aspirations like health, the environment, those seem peripheral. Someone even made the allusion that you see there is HIV, and there was a lot of dissemination around HIV and how you can prevent it. But has that stopped people from still going ahead and
risky?
Yeah, because so the immediate, I guess the problem of immediacy, the urgency, right? Of course, even you talk about climate change, to some people they don't. That's not an immediate concern for them. The immediate concern is, how am I going to get food on the table today for these children, for myself? And if it's about me getting 2,000 shillings or 500 and I get some small lucenyente or some small pieces of charcoal and I cook, that's good enough for me.
The day has passed.
If you're telling them about, you see the rains will take long to come, they will tell you, but we've been surviving. We wait for them to come. When they come, we plant and we survive. So do you see a role for the government there? Because do you see a role for law and for the government there? Because the government is the one to think about these things. It has to think about the larger picture of the agriculture, the economy is based on agriculture, is the backbone of the country. The ordinary Ugandan doesn't care about that. It has to think about the cost of the lung cancer machines and all of this in Mulago. So do you envisage a role for some sort of coercive aspect on the part of the state? And if so, what should that look like?
I would say it's the government may do what they do, but it has to take the initiative of the individual to be willing to actually take up, because I'm sure the government has spoken loud and clear. The impact has been noticed, but like you said, a rural person will care about what is on the table today for the children or for the family, as opposed for the future of the children that they are caring for. But I would say that I would not speak for the government because I don't really know, but I would speak on the angle where the government is trying to reduce, if they're removing import duty on the inputs, I am sure that is a deliberate action to try and make sure that we reduce on the cost of manufacturing so that the product can become affordable. I think there's their baby steps on trying to make it possible and accessible without just speaking, but also putting action. At least that's a deliberate action that I've known. On our creating awareness campaigns on these issues, I'm not so sure to what extent it's expected to be done. But I also believe that through last week, Water and Environment had this campaign about the energy and environment. And they called, it was all over the radio. So I think they are making something, trying to educate the public. But I don't know whether it's too much English being said, and maybe we need to put it in a more understandable way and create those the same way the initial campaigns of these other diseases were being disseminated. Maybe it's the same way the government needs to do. But as a practitioner in the space, for us, we're doing our part, one for the business angle, but also we take the steps of making sure that people understand, yes, they may not be interested in the environment, in the social, in the health at the moment. Because at one point, I remember back in 2013, 14, when I was directly in the sales, one person we sat a group of over 200 people in Mityana. And this gentleman said to me, I've been cooking with firewood all my life. Nothing has happened to me. Now, you actually are astonished because you're like, how do I respond to this guy? He's saying I'm the evidence. Nothing has happened to me. It was fortunate that it was a man talking. Had it been a woman, we know the gender responsibilities in this country. So if someone stands up and say, but that's not my problem, then you're like, yeah, it's not your problem because you don't directly cook. Yeah, and also, you're not going to get the problem right now. Maybe today you may be okay, but how about tomorrow? So for us, we're taking deliberate action to make sure we create awareness as private sector to be able to educate the people, not just on the savings, because that's their interest. Our campaigns are actually on how much you save. But then again, given an audience, we're able to tell you that the future of our forest cover is fast disappearing. A lot of people already know that Mabila is probably just the front line.
Yeah.
Budongo is just on the road, and what you're able to see is no longer what it was. So for the few who are interested, we do let them know.